UFC lightweight champion Ilia Topuria has confirmed that he is not going to be fighting on the Paramount card in January. Of course, this was reported earlier this week, but this is the first time that Topuria has publicly come out and made a statement as to why he's not fighting on the Paramount card. I'm going to read his tweet right now. He says, "I won't be fighting in the first quarter of next year. I'm going through a difficult moment in my personal life. I want to focus on my children and resolve this situation as soon as possible. I don't want to hold up the division. The UFC will make the matchups needed. As soon as the matters are resolved, I'll let the UFC know I'm ready to begin my return." And this makes sense. This is something I referenced in the last video. If you haven't seen it, I posted this on here. It does look like, it's not 100% confirmed, it looks like Justin Gaethje and Paddy Pimblett are fighting for an interim title. Now, it should be Arman Tsarukyan. I know Arman just fought, but would have been nice to hear a mention of Arman. We did see Ilia do an interview during the UFC Qatar week mentioning that he wants Paddy Pimblett, or he wants, obviously, Islam as well at 170. We'll see if that ends up happening, but I understand this. Listen, I'm married. I have 2 kids. I couldn't imagine having to do having to deal with a separation like Topuria is right now. I've seen some people in the comments being like, just suck it up and do it. It's like, thanks for admitting you don't have a family, because divorce is very difficult. That's what he's referring to. We know that him and his wife are splitting, and there's probably a lot of financial and legal stuff going on with that. Obviously, Topuria is very wealthy after winning 2 UFC belts and everything else. And shout out to Max Holloway. I just saw this right now. What an awesome guy. He says, "Sorry to hear, champ. If it's what I'm hearing, I know the struggle firsthand." Holloway did split up with his ex-wife as well. Trying to fight while protecting your kids. Hope all goes well. This is great, by the way. I love that. We need more of this in MMA. We need more positivity, right? So shout out to Topuria, but also credit to Topuria as well for saying, look, make an interim belt if I'm going to be out for a while. Why put a timeline on coming back? Who knows how long the separation is going to take? That's what he's alluding to here, right? He's not alluding to anything else. It's been widely publicized. Obviously, there's him and his wife, I believe, unfollowed each other on Instagram. They took all the photos off of Instagram as well. So yeah, this all sort of adds up, and this does make sense that they're going with an interim title fight. Again, though, in a perfect world, you're getting Arman fighting for that title. I do wonder too, is it a little bit too soon? I know Arman said he would be, willing to fight in January. But then someone's getting hurt here because, right, Gaethje's made his claim, Paddy's made his claim as well. I still, like I maintained in my last video, I think that even if, Paddy and Justin fight, there's no guarantee that they're going to fight Topuria next. Arman could slip in there, if there's an injury or something. There's always stuff that happens with the UFC. I don't think there's any guarantees on any winner of any fight, right? So listen, I'm with everyone else though. It should be Arman and Ilia next. Again, it would be nice if Topuria would, say, hey, I'll fight whoever, as opposed to specifically saying Paddy or Islam. He might end up having to fight Gaethje. In fact, I think he might end up fighting Gaethje, because I do think that Gaethje beats Paddy. Like I said, I still got to break that fight down in more in depth, but yeah, just good of Topuria to come out, get ahead of this. This is where rumors start. I've heard. I saw someone in the comments even say he must have failed a drug test. This is what people do when they don't know the facts. They start making things up or making conspiracy theories. So Topuria saying all this kind of puts this to bed. He obviously wasn't ready to go in January, and this all makes sense, right? I mentioned, I was kind of theorizing as to why he wasn't fighting on this card. I came up with 2 scenarios. One is the one that he just said here, which is that he's going through a separation. And the second one was he just helped his brother, Alexander Topuria, prepare for his fight at UFC Qatar. I know when you're helping other people prepare, it's hard for you to prepare for your own fight, right? So in the Paramount card's under 2 months away. So if you're gonna have that first title defense at lightweight, you want to make sure you got lots of adequate time to do it. So yeah, just if I haven't said it already, I wish Topuria the best. Again, as a family man myself, I'm hoping I never have to go through a divorce, because it's I've seen it firsthand just from family members and friends and stuff. It's rough. So I hope Topuria takes as much time off as he needs. Obviously, the division's got to move along. So credit to Topuria for saying, look, well, let's make an interim title and we'll let this sort of move along it a little bit, because he's in the prime of his career right now. He's 28, just won his 2nd belt. There's a lot on the line here for one of the UFC's biggest stars, so no need to rush back and fight when things are how many times have we heard a fighter lose a fight and it's oh yeah, I was dealing with all this personal stuff. Good on him for stepping up and making this decision and letting the UFC know and letting them move along with the division. I think that's all good right now. So yeah, and I've also heard Topuria's been difficult behind the scenes. I don't know about that. I think this all adds up. The guy's going through a divorce right now. He doesn't have time to commit to something. He wants to take some time off. Good on him. You're going to get a better Topuria that way, right? Do you want a Topuria that's distracted and dealing with different stuff, or do you want to see the best Topuria out there? I think that's what we all want to see. So let him take his time, figure out what happens, and hopefully it's him and Arman next, but we'll see. Again, Arman just fought, so this is where like I said, like if they didn't do the interim belt, if they just did Patty and Gaethje on its own and made it a 5-round fight, I think people aren't complaining as much because that fight makes a lot of sense. But it's the fact it's the interim title and Armin's getting snubbed. That's where fans are upset. And I agree with them. Armin should be the next contender. He did the thing that he was supposed to do, which is, okay, he screwed up at 311. He needs another fight. He gets that fight. He dominates Dan Hooker. He should be in the mix again for the title. So hopefully it all works out and we get Armin and Ilia next year. If we don't, then we'll see what happens. Like I said, I don't think he's fighting Islam. I don't think that fight ever happens because I don't think the UFC is going to let him move up another weight class after just winning the title. I think he's going to end up, I mean, if I'm just like a betting man, I think he's probably going to end up fighting the winner of Justin and Patty. And that's going to be International Fight Week or the White House card because the timing works out. They're quite similar. I don't think they've actually set a date yet for the White House card. But International Fight Week is always the end of June. That kind of lines up with the timing here, assuming everything goes well. I mean, we don't even know if this could, drag on and maybe Topuria's out for a while. I don't know. But the fact that he didn't give a firm date leads us to believe that it's going to be a while. So that's why they're doing the interim title fight here. So yeah, I'm just glad he came out and gave some clarity because again, you know how rumors start and all these other things. So let Topuria take care of what he has to. And again, shout out to Max Holloway. What a good dude, man. Gets knocked out by Topuria, only knockout loss in his career, comes out and gives him some support. That's why Holloway's the man. Like, I don't know any fan who can realistically hate Max Holloway. The guy just always steps up to the plate. He's awesome, exciting fighter. By the way, what's going on with him and Oliveira? That was the fight we heard was going to be on this card, but I don't know. We'll see if Dana mentions it during the announcement tonight. But from what I'm hearing, I don't know if that fight's going to take place on that card. Maybe it will. We'll find out. But yeah, it sucks for Topuria. Again, it's not just these guys are fighters, but there's a whole other life outside of it, the family side of things, especially when you got kids involved. Like I can understand if he was going through a separation and there's no, he's got a child with this woman. Like, you got to think of the child here. You really can, not to get too deep on this stuff, but divorces can affect kids a lot. So it's really tough to see here. But yeah, let's hope all goes well. This gets all settled. We get Topuria back for International Fight Week. The thing you got to mention though is that's going to be a long layoff for him, right? Like it's basically when he fought this year was in International Fight Week, and then prior to that was used to fighting twice a year. So this will actually be. This is the first time I think since his UFC career. Well, no, I guess he only fought one time in 2021, but Topuria typically fights 2 times a year. So that's something that's tough, but it's not like a guy who's sitting on the couch either. He's in the gym training and getting everything that needs to get done. But yeah, got to take care of business. Got to take care of the stuff outside the cage as well. But I still think Topuria is going to be tough to beat at 155. Like even if Gaethje or Patty wins, I'm favoring Ilia in both those fights. Armin's a different story. Armin, I think, is the toughest fight for Ilia at 155 right now, assuming Islam's out of the picture, obviously, with Islam staying at 170. But I do favor Topuria over Gaethje or Patty. That's why I want to see the Armin fight. I think that's more competitive than Gaethje or Patty. But saying that, could Topuria knock out Armin? Yes, I think he can. Topuria is like one of a kind in the sense that he's got a good ground game. Like I think people forget he's got more submission wins than he has knockouts, but his knockout power is just incredible. Like to knock out Oliveira the way he did, to knock out Holloway, knock out Volk, like that's legendary stuff right there. So anyways, yeah, hope Topuria takes care of business and hopefully we see him back sooner rather than later. So what do you guys think of this? Do you think it was right to make the interim title with Topuria now saying he's not fighting on January? Do I get any credit here? I told you guys this for a while that he wasn't fighting on the January card. I didn't know why, but this makes sense. Follow me on Twitter, TikTok, Instagram, @Lynch on Sports. My name is James Lynch. Thanks so much for watching and I'll see you next time.